How you doing, everybody? We've just watched the third episode of Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of the Lord of the Rings, of the Lord of the Power.
Part Trace.
Well, anyway, we're going to do a little bit of a review of it. Last review was a little long. It was like 30-something minutes. I edited down to 9.
Yeah, we're weeding out how we're making these videos. We're just making them after we watch. So
We'll just start it off by saying that, personally, I enjoyed kinda this episode more than the first two.
this episode has a lot of problems.
It wasn't amazing.
Way more interesting than the first two episodes. Though, it is quite interesting that we have black elves, we have black dwarves, but the orcs, who specifically were described by Tolkien as having like grayish skin mixing hues of black and green, are mysteriously pale and wearing white robes in this series. It's interesting. It seems the KKK have come into Mordor, and
What's your next one?
and yeah, we get to see Numenor in this, and I will say the wide shot of Numenor is very pretty. The normal clothing that the Numenorians wear, looking very Mediterranean and everything, it's pretty nice. It's how I would envision Numenor. The armor in this show is terrible. It is the most basic, like plain, unadorned armor. However, the swords are gorgeous. We see two swords up close. We see one that Elendil has on his ship. Elendil is not lore accurate in his representation, be it the fact that he should be much taller, or be it the fact that he was not a simple ship captain. But he has two pretty swords in it, and we gotta hand it to him. They made nice looking swords. He is not Elendil, yet he is also the only other likable character.
I do like
besides
Elendil
the Black
in the
Elf. Galadriel is an absolutely unlikable character in this show. They've taken everything likable that she had in the Peter Jackson trilogy, and everything that she had of her benevolence in the books, and they've just made her a scrappy, confrontational, overly paranoid woman, and she's just not pleasant to watch. She's also a bad actress. Orford Clark, the Galadriel actress, she's the main character of this show, essentially. That's what she's touted as. But her acting credits are One Other Thing no one's ever heard about, and this show. Diversity still so far just means black. We have not seen any Asians, South American, Native American, or anyone else. Diversity still just means black. We would like to state that to the record.
I'd like to see some Asians.
We'll see.
I'd like to see some Native Americans.
Who knows?
Give me some Indians.
Maybe we'll see some Asians. Maybe some Asians. Maybe some Indians come in.
Be cool. Be cool.
You know, it'd be nice. Maybe they're saving. Maybe they're saving. We like to give Amazon the benefit of the doubt that they aren't shallow. That they aren't shallow people. But surely they didn't make these casting decisions to tick off a checkbox.
But yeah, what was your next note? You got any more notes after? I'm sure you did.
These people don't know how to film an action scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, the action has been just subpar dookie butt. Arendir. I can't think of his name, but Arendir, he's a cool character. Doesn't make sense, but he's a cool character. But he fights, and in this third episode, and it's a poopy butt fight.
It's terrible fight scene. Every scene is a slow-mo jumping attack. PG-13 now is arguably way more violent than PG-13 in 2001, and the violence in the Lord of the Rings movies far exceeds anything we've seen in the show so far.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you see Aragorn cut an orc's head off, or a goblin's, I think it's a goblin's head off, at the beginning of the Moria fight in Fellowship of the Ring, and a blood fountain spews out from it. It's amazing. Galadriel smiles like a British person.
God rest the Queen.
Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. The Numenorians have a conch shell war horn, and that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that.
Let's see.
I thought that the Numenor thugs, the street thugs that Halbrand fought, they looked cool, and they were all wearing cool stuff.
Yes.
And I kind of enjoy Halbrand. Halbrand's an interesting character. He's one of the only interesting characters. Not likable, but he's interesting. There you go.
I absolutely hate how the hobbits are in this show.
Yeah, they're not interesting.
I hate how they are.
They're the most boring parts of the show.
They're pagan, nature-loving gypsies, and frankly, going from how proper they are in Tolkien's own world, I just cannot stand how contrasty they are.
What's your next note?
I think that we've covered the gist of all of them, really.
Yeah, there's a few more, but I mean, he doesn't really do much.
Mostly just goes with,
I'm trying to think of what happens at the end of the episode. Halbrand's in jail. Galadriel goes to the jail. Halbrand is apparently from the Southlands,
yes.
The Southlands of men
they
that sided with Morgoth.
And
yeah.
everything.
And then now apparently Galadriel and
Halbrand. Did it not end with all the elves dying except for Arondir? Him being pulled back into the...
Yeah, there was that slow-mo fight, and it was all slow-mo. It was so much slow-mo that I said, damn, that's a lot of slow-mo.
Yeah.
And I thought the dog was cool. I kind of thought it was cool. Yeah, it was CGI, and it won't age well. But it looked kind of interesting, because I thought it was cool because it was hairless. Maybe they, turn into fully haired ones later. I don't know.
Hey, what if Nori becomes the Balrog?
If Nori becomes the Balrog.
Yes. What if the main Hobbit becomes the Balrog?
We're talking about the little girl, the Harfoot.
No, the fat friend. We're talking about Hobbit. What if
Poppy becomes the Balrog?
What if the Samwise Gamgee stand-in eats so much Hobbit seed cake that she becomes the Balrog?
Well, that would be interesting. I'd be like, wow, we're just sort of rambling at this point, but because the episode has things to ramble about. Arondir, to me, is still interesting. Halbrand's kind of interesting. I like Elendil. Elendil's pretty cool.
Elendil's interesting.
Strangely bad dad for a second.
Oh yeah, strangely bad dad. This show implies that women would actually have jobs in Middle-earth.
Wow. Wow.
The 19th Amendment didn't exist.
Galadriel's still terrible as a main character. All right, so how many rings out of the rings of power do you give this show?
I'm gonna give the first two are pretty dang low, but this one at least managed to hold my attention. It didn't feel like a chore to watch like the other two did, but there's still a lot of problems, and for how entertaining it was, still not a lot happened. So I'm gonna give it a solid 4 rings of power out of 10.
I feel like that's fair.
That's fair.
First episode, to me, I would give it a 3 rings of power out of 10. In the second episode, I will give it a solid 1 ring of power out of 10. And if that's how it's going to keep going, get better and better, then maybe this show will be good.
Maybe.